shot and killed the suspect, shot and killed. We have heard from witnesses that the suspect was wielding what they believe to be an assault rifle. It was a rifle of some kind, and perhaps we'll get some more detail from LAPD Chief Charlie Beck. The airport, as you can see, for the most part, has been shut down. Certainly access to it has been shut down for folks who are going in and out of the LAX area today. We're talking about 163,000 people per day in and out of this airport. So a great deal of activity shut down here while this investigation now gets underway.
Yeah, and also I'm sure during this press conference we're going to find out the extent of the injuries. We do know there were maybe 4 to 5 people that did suffer some sort of injuries. We don't know the extent of those, so we'll get more information on that as well. Maybe some sort of explanation as to how this all came to an end. We do know from some photographs that have come from inside Terminal 3 that it did end at a gate. In Terminal 3, we did see a shot of a gun, that rifle on the ground. There was a bloody scene around that, and we're going to hear how that ended, whether this person was apprehended or shot at that point. We do know that the shooter made it through the checkpoint at one point in time and made his way to a gate. And we do have from eyewitness accounts that the shooting started, it appeared on that lower level, and if you've been to LAX, you know you walk into that lower level, you take the escalator up to the second level, and that's exactly what the shooter did according to eyewitness reports.
And as we piece together the impact of the shooting, we're now getting from East Hill Medical Center that it took in 3 male victims from the LAX shootings. 1 arrived in critical condition, 2 were listed in fair condition. Some of our early pictures from the scene showed what most people in emergency response would describe as the walking wounded. There were a couple of people who were put into wheelchairs and who were being attended to, who did not appear to be severely wounded. And so we don't know the exact number of injuries, but that's, again, another thing that we expect to learn at this news conference. To the extent that police and officials can have been able to put all this together. And remember, this just started 2 hours and 15 minutes ago, and they've been trying to manage an active crime scene in which they thought for at least a portion of that 2 hours that someone might have a weapon and might still be a threat. We're seeing, Mark, what appears to be another gurney moving into place. I suspect that there, with this long wait, there are going to be people in this crowd who become dehydrated, who might need medical attention. I wonder if that's what this is here.
It certainly may be the case. This has definitely been a stressful situation for many of us, especially those folks on the ground who are in the midst of all this activity here. And so this may be just a medical situation where someone needs some medical aid, maybe not necessarily an injury, but dehydration type of scenario. Sure, that might be the case. But indeed, this must be emotionally taxing, a stressful situation for many of the travelers who are trying to get out of the city, basically, and coming in also. So my initial thought is that, this is probably likely a medical type situation. And there's someone being wheeled out, basically sitting up on that gurney there. And so what this person is experiencing, we just don't know at this point, but at least this person we know is getting some treatment at this point.
It looks like it might be a TSA agent. She's wearing, that blue shirt that some of the agents wear.
Yes, it certainly appears so. That familiar blue shirt with jacket, and so, we certainly hope she's doing okay. We don't know if she's if she's got any kind of injury or she's undergoing some kind of emotional or stressful situation where she requires medical attention here. But again, being wheeled into that rescue ambulance here, and she will be on her way to a local hospital here shortly. We hope she'll be okay.
Well, when you think about it too, she lost a coworker today. We don't know if she knows that individual personally. But again, adding to the distress and the sort of emotional situation you're under, and it takes some time to kind of have all that sink in. I'm sure when it first happens and you're in the midst of this situation, you're just dealing with adrenaline, and then you have a moment to actually let it sink in what you just experienced. And I'm sure that's the case for a lot of passengers, and from what we're hearing, many people did witness this shooter.
Well, and we've talked to some of them, and it's remarkable. One of them in particular that we spoke with, Alex, was so calm in his description of what he saw and heard. As we prepare for this news conference now, just about a minute away, he was talking about the fact that this person was wearing what appeared to be uniform, a green-gray colored outfit, and simply started firing. Another witness telling us that this person was yelling as he was firing, and that witness telling us that she heard about 17 shots. We've heard scenes of chaos as people hit the ground amidst the gunfire and then tried to crawl their way out over luggage, people tripping over luggage, other people trying to help them up. We talked to Nick Pugh, who was a passenger who he thinks he was 15 or 20 feet away from the gunfire. He was on the upper level. The gunfire was taking place at the lower level, and he simply ran from the scene and jumped out of an emergency exit and ran onto the tarmac at LAX, where he was then greeted by officers who weren't sure if he was the shooter, and they put him in handcuffs, and he was eventually released. But just a sense of the fright and the terror that happened at LAX this morning.
It is quite impressive, the people that we have talked to right now. We're looking at Tom Bradley International there, that terminal, and the people that we spoke to, how calm they were. They had just witnessed something that was incredibly scary. I can't tell if that person appears to be in handcuffs that they're walking with right there.
And we don't know, look, some people will say, is this guy involved in a conspiracy of some sort, or is he simply someone who, like you were just saying, you were talking to someone a moment ago who was taken into custody because they weren't sure, out of an abundance of caution. They put him into custody. It could be people are becoming agitated after having to wait for so long. We just don't know. And with that many law enforcement officers, that level of stress and tension, and all those folks on the ground, we don't know why this person is being walked in handcuffs. So we won't ascribe anything to it other than the fact that this is what we're seeing right now. The picture on your left side, a live picture of Chief Charlie Beck of the LAPD, Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, approaching the cameras. They are going to begin to tell us really the first official information about this incident since it began. We expect to hear some detail now as Glenn Walker and Carolyn Costello will take over the coverage momentarily.
Yeah, and our reporter Chris Wolf is at the scene as well in just a moment as they step to the podium to give us, like Frank said, the exact information of what went down at LAX this morning. Let's listen in.
Good morning. I'm Eric Garcetti, here with representatives of law enforcement and public safety community, as well as the administrators of this airport. At about 9:20 this morning, I think most of us know now that an incident occurred here at the airport with a shooter who was actively involved in Terminal 3. I'll be having Chief Gannon from the Airport Police, Malawa Police, give you a rundown of what occurred. Gina Marie Lindsay, who is our executive director here at the airport, will inform the traveling public and their loved ones what the situation is here on the ground. But let me just say a couple things. First of all, I want to thank the law enforcement community for their excellent and coordinated response to this incident. We believe this to be a static situation now, a safe one for those that are in the airport, and one in which we are all confident we will be able to conduct the investigation necessary to get all the facts out that no doubt you and the public want to know. Second, we're working very hard on the operations of the airport. If you haven't been able to be in touch with a loved one who was already through security in one of the terminals other than Terminal 3, flights have continued to take off at a slower pace, especially on the south side, which is Terminals 4 through 8. And those folks may actually be in the air right now, so do not worry about that. We have flights that are continuing to land. Gina Marie Lindsay will walk through that as well. But again, this is a situation where being proactive. If you have a flight this afternoon, we're encouraging you at this point to stay away from the airport. not because of the safety situation, but because the ongoing investigation makes it a very difficult place to come to and to travel to. Those folks that are here right now, we're encouraging folks to go to, if you're already in the terminals besides Terminal 3 are open and available, the USO, and of course airport hotels that are close by. This will probably be at least a series of hours until we have the other terminals open, and for Terminal 3 an indefinite amount of time. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our chief on the ground here from the Louisville Police, Chief Gannon, to give you a rundown of the incident this morning.
Thank you, Mayor. Patrick Gannon, G-A-N-N-O-N. I'm the Chief of Airport Police here at LA International Airport. As the Mayor indicated, 9:20 this morning, an individual came into Terminal 3 of this airport, pulled an assault rifle out of the bag, and began to open fire in the terminal. He proceeded up into the screening area where TSA screeners are and continued shooting and went past the screeners back into the airport itself. Personnel officers from Airport Police, Los Angeles Airport Police, responded immediately to the calls. They tracked the individual through the airport and engaged him in gunfire in Terminal 3. And we were able to successfully take him into custody. We had an officer-involved shooting that took place. As you can imagine, a large amount of chaos took place during this entire incident. We believe at this point that there was a lone shooter, that he acted, at least right now, was the only person that was armed in this incident. There's a tremendous amount of investigative work that will need to be done, and I will turn that over to the FBI in just a second and in a little bit. But nonetheless, we have done security sweeps for the entire airport. We feel confident that this particular incident is tied to Terminal 3 and Terminal 3 only. And that's all we have right now. There's a tremendous amount of investigative work that will need to be accomplished. We have multiple victims that have been shot and have been transported, and we've had some other injuries as well, in addition to the suspect himself. So I don't have much more information than that. I don't want to give out information that may not be consistent later on. And so I appreciate your cooperation and just getting this little bit of information out now.
Next, we're going to hear from Gina Marie.